The block in the Bayou, FSU traveled into New Orleans, upsetting a team in stunning fashion, making the LSU Tigers the only SEC team of the week in the loss column. Stick with us as we recall our reactions during this game, including the Nole takeover on Bourbon Street and what this win could mean down the road for the Noles. But first, as always, this music. Okay, so we are back. This is Locker to Leave. A great Labor Day weekend that we had. A lot of fascinating stuff. College football was back. The North Carolina schools had some great matchups. App State versus UNC, ECU versus NC State. Great matchups all across the nation. But we're going to talk about Florida State football, and there's nobody I'd rather talk about that than my co-host Aaron, who celebrated his birthday this Labor Day weekend and got to go up on stage with Kodak and have a great time. Ak, how you doing, man? Just talk me through your weekend.
Oh my God, I'm living. It was one of the best weekends of my life, straight up. I mean, Sunday the 4th, my birthday was the 5th. So Sunday the 4th, I got to watch FSU beat UF in soccer 5-0. I got to watch us pull off the upset against LSU in the Superdome, hostile environment. And then, for those of you who don't know, directly after, well, I kind of went viral this weekend, so I'm surprised if you don't know by now. But uh, my girlfriend
Uh,
surprised me with tickets to the Kodak Black concert at Live this weekend. We got there a little early so I could be right front and center because you guys know Kodak's my guy. That's my favorite rapper. And long story short, he ends up pulling me up on stage because he hears it's my birthday. He asked me what song I want to hear, and I say Rodeo. For those of you who don't know, Rodeo, I didn't think he would have it. I was just hoping it's one of my favorite Kodak songs. He did a freestyle over I want to say it was Travis Scott's Rodeo beat back in 2014. And I love it. But he didn't have it. So he said, "All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play Skirt instead, and then you get to come hang out with me after." And I'm like, "All right, say less." So he played Skirt. I got to go up there perform it with him. It was probably the best moment of my life. So LSU, you can take the L all you want. Not gonna be above that. So much love for Florida State. Saw a lot of things improve this weekend. Jordan Travis for starters. Oh my, just looks so confident as a passer. He did a great job of avoiding injury when scrambling. He just looks so much improved. It's really refreshing to see what Tony Tokar has done with him. What do you think, Jay?
yeah, let me give you a quick cosign for everyone who thinks that Aaron just went to a Kodak concert and everything. No, whenever I hang out with him, I'm telling you, he's pulling out SoundCloud Kodak songs from 9 years ago that I would never have imagined ever surfaced or touched the internet. So he does listen to a lot of Kodak, very big fan. But like you said, let's go to the game, man, because the first thing I want to talk about was the atmosphere. This game is in Louisiana. There was a great migration that the Noles did to come from Tallahassee and different parts of Florida to make it to Louisiana. It's weird because LSU is an hour away, hour and a half away. They did not show out as much as the Noles did. When you saw these videos and you saw and heard the crowd for the first time, what were you thinking? Because it wasn't a neutral site game. The Noles took over Bourbon Street.
Oh my God. Yeah, the crowd, you would expect a much bigger split of LSU fans. You would. Naturally, it's much closer. But they're saying it's about 50-50. It's about even. So I'm really interested to see what happens when this game is played in Orlando next year, because that's where it is. LSU, FSU opener in Orlando. It's the back half of the two neutral site games. I think we're going to blow them out next year. I think we're on the come up. Brian Kelly did not show me a lot of promise as head coach at LSU. His team was not in it. We should have pulled away. They got very lucky. It was close. Couple drops here and there, some interesting play calling here and there. Could have been a 17-point game very easily. But I like what our boys did. They heard the hostile environment and they let it fuel them. They used it as energy. You could tell they were hyping up the crowd. They were talking back to the LSU fans. It was awesome to see Florida State football be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Nole Zone also, because Nole Zone isn't only going to basketball games now, they're going to football games, they're going to volleyball, they're doing women's soccer for FSU. They're really trying to expand on us, giving support to as many sports programs at Florida State as they can. And that kind of goes into what I want to talk about, because Ak, let me go to you first. What stood out to you in watching this game? It could be a multitude of things. Just talk to me about what you noticed and what really popped out on the screen when you were watching this one.
Number one thing, like I already touched on a little bit, is probably Jordan Travis. And like I said, how confident he is now. He was looking great in the pocket. He wasn't dumping out of there too fast. He was trusting his O line. He was getting the ball to his receivers. And that's where the second part of this comes in. The receivers looked awesome. We had some issues at receiver last year. Some guys weren't as developed as they were supposed to be. Some guys were just had some attitude issues, but this year it looks awesome. Pokey Wilson was huge separation every single play. It felt like he was always open all night. Johnny Wilson going up making some contested catches. Micah Pittman out in the slot looked great. We just have a whole stable full of guys now that we didn't really have the option of last year. Ja'Kai Douglas should be back soon as well. So to have that and a confident quarterback, our offense looks so much improved. Now the defense last year, if you remember, was not really an issue as much. The defense played pretty well for the most part, but we lost Jermaine Johnson, which is a huge loss. However, we got the number one transfer defensive end again in Jared Verse this year. Now, Jared Verse, what do you have? 3 sacks. I think he had 4 tackles for loss. I think he forced a fumble back there. He was unstoppable all night. All night long, he was in the backfield almost every play, forcing Jaden Daniels to get the ball out quick. He made some bad throws, threw some ducks, really bailed us out on some possessions. So Jared Verse and then the receiving core really looked good to me at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, what stood out to me, like you said, we played with power, we played with speed, we played Florida State football, but the thing we've been missing for the past couple years, the past few years, is the swag. Because FSU has the swag. We play well and we let you know it when we do. And that's why I was glad seeing Jared versus post-game presser saying, you know what? Simple as I can say it, we're back. When the players believe it, that's when I know I can believe it myself as a fan. Really excited for that. But like you were saying, the defense was looking really good. Kalen Deloach was coming up. Good thing Fabian Lovett, says that he's going to be okay. He'll be returning. Really, really excited. Some guys like Brendan Gant, who used to be a safety, they moved him to bench as yeah, a bench linebacker. He's coming in. Him and Wyatt Rector are the first ones getting to that muff punt. You're seeing the special teams. That's coaching. You're seeing how much these players care. I absolutely love it. Can you talk to me quickly about the special teams too? Because special teams pulled up huge on multiple occasions for us in that game.
Oh my God. Yeah. Shout out to Wyatt Rector, a guy that was recruited as a quarterback. They moved him to tight end. He's a local kid. He's from Leesburg, I believe. Moved him from quarterback to tight end, moved him to gunner on the punt team, and he was showing out. He was flying down the field. He was laying hits. He was forcing fumbles. I think he recovered one as well. Our special teams was great. And that's another thing that's refreshing to see is Willie Taggart teams, if you remember, had some issues on special teams. We fumbled a lot of punts. We shanked a lot of punts. We didn't cover very well. So to see Norvell focus on the little things like this, the discipline has been great to see. I was personally on the train. We fired Taggart too soon. But I think Mike has done a great job of turning around the problems that Willie's teams had.
Yeah, I think also before we get on to the LSU side of things, the running back core we have is just great. We have not only runners but catchers out the backfield. Former guest Lawrence Philly, he was getting some big receptions and getting some good rack yards right after the catch yards. We got Trey Benson there. We got Trayshawn Ward, Ward there. Yeah, kind of like a three-headed snake, can attack you from a lot of different ways. I'm interested to see, they mentioned during the game how Norvell was instituting a lot of different formations in that game, trying to, play chess with the LSU defensive coordinator there. But let's get to LSU because Jaden Daniels seemed to be the standout player for them. Talk to me about what you were thinking of when watching Jaden Daniels play because he was basically producing everything for them. And Keyshawn Booty doesn't look like he'll be there for much longer with his Twitter and social media antics.
So Daniels, I thought, played a great game. But like I mentioned earlier, Verse had him under pressure a lot, and that led to the one key thing that really helped FSU seal this game, the third down efficiency. FSU had a much better third down efficiency because LSU didn't have that guy that's getting in the backfield. I mean, you had Gay and Mason, but Gay had that bad targeting call. Mason had the torn ACL. After that, LSU's defense really isn't too scary. So having our D line like it was just straight up bully the LSU offensive line and force Daniels into making some bad plays on third down that kind of got him out of there a little early. Huge difference maker in the game. But I will say Daniels played great. He got screwed a little bit. Booty had two, not gonna say easy touchdowns, but should have been caught. Should have been caught in the end zone. And one of them, I don't know if you guys saw this game. We should have watched the game if you're listening to this, but hit him in the chest, wide open in the end zone, wasn't looking, hit him right in the numbers. I mean, we got bailed out. We got lucky. I'll admit it. But he looked, to be honest, better than he did when we played his ASU team, and what was that 2019 in the bowl game, the Sun Bowl. So he looked improved, but we just shut him down when it mattered the most.
Yeah, one interesting thing I saw between Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis is if you look at the box score, Jaden Daniels had a better game. He went 29 for or 26 for 35, had about 240, two TDs, no picks. On the box score, he had a great game. He rushed for over 100 too. But the thing is, when I saw the pressure get to him. He tried to scramble out, and Jordan Travis, in many cases, sat in the pocket and tried to extend the play rather than try to fix everything with his legs. When we see that play, like he said to Dookie Wilson in the end zone, talking about that play and the progression we've seen from Jordan Travis to be able to sit in the pocket, know that he's going to get hit right in the helmet and still deliver a dime right on target in a crucial spot for the Noles.
Well, I mean, which time he did it twice, the flea flicker and the second touchdown. So again, that's another thing I wanted to touch on a little bit. Is Jordan Travis last year he had a lot of injuries, right? And I think a lot of that came from kind of getting outside the pocket, trying to do a little bit too much, not trusting his O line. He was getting a hit. And this year he's not doing that. He's sitting in the pocket. He's staying. He's comfortable. And when he is going to get hit, he goes down or goes out of bounds as soon as he can. It's not worth it for that extra 1, maybe 2 yards. And that's some real growth that I've loved to see with Jordan Travis. I mean, he was doing it all last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, so he was doing it all. We saw that Norvell had the utmost confidence in him, prompting him to go for it on fourth down and then having some controversial calls on the third and goal that led to a fumble. Talking about that fourth down call first, because you and I were in agreement. We were fine with the call. If Micah Pittman catches that, it's a whole different story.
I'm fine with the call. I'm in favor of the call. I don't think that's the best play you can run there, but they did execute it nice. Trav threw a great ball. I thought Pittman should have caught it personally. I think it's a little better than 50%. Just didn't happen. That's okay. I'm okay with the call though for Norvell. I like him going for it. Now the toss on the goal line, I wasn't a huge fan of because if you look at how much time is left on the clock there, you could realistically knee it 3 times, kick the field goal. You'd be up what 10? You'd be up 10 with no time on the clock. So personally, that's what I would have done to seal it. I don't think I would have gone that much for the neck. I think that's a little excessive in that situation. But respect to him, we got the W.
So with how the game was going, let's end on this part right now. Brian Kelly from LSU. Here's what I was thinking going through the game. I'm Jesus Christ. It was a minute 20 left on the clock when we had that fumble. They walked us down the field. I can't even deny it. We were absolutely walked down that field. Some bad penalties, and Jaden Daniels extended some plays. They got down, they scored a touchdown, and I'm thinking they're going for two. This is in NOLA. They're close to home. Brian Kelly's going to get his signature win and his first win by saying, you know what? I'm going for two. You signed me to a 10-year, almost $100 million deal. I'm going to go and show you why you came. Let me finish this game. Instead, they went for one instead of two to win the game. What were your thoughts on Brian Kelly's decision to try and go for the tie rather than the win? Because for me, that's a home game for LSU. I'm
Yeah.
approaching it as a home game. That's like Georgia going to play in the Mercedes Superdome.
Yeah, you're LSU in the dome against a team that's lower ranked than you. You you got to go for that there. You got to step on the throat. You got to kick them while they're down. The defense, like you said, was walk down the field. They were gassed. They were so tired. When I saw the kicking unit come out for LSU, I thought, "Oh my god, this is awesome. This is perfect." Worst case scenario, we go to overtime, get our defense some rest. We're gonna win this thing. As soon as they brought the kicking unit out, I felt great. When they saw they blocked it, forget it. Forget it. That was it. I mean, it was an awesome win to see, man. I tweeted this out. I hadn't been that excited for a game that I wasn't attending since VT in 2018. That was the opener against Virginia Tech. And to have a similar amount of hype coming into this game and just have the exact opposite outcome, have us be competitive, have us play hard instead of just roll over and give up and scored what 3 points. Final score is 24-3 last time. And now we get the win in the dome against LSU. The turnaround, how far we've come, beautiful thing to see. I think we were ranked, I want to say 30th, I believe it was 30th. Yep. In the AP poll this week. It's the highest we've been since week 3 of 2018. It's been 4 years since we've been ranked this
Wow.
high. It's been a
Wow.
long time. I think this signals the official end of the Taggart era and the beginning of the Norvell era. Really excited to see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah, great point by talking about that VT game because we've had our openers or two games in really big games, national televised games, and that game is the tone setter for the rest of the season. We saw last year the Notre Dame game, we lost in overtime to another Brian Kelly coach team, and that set the tone for the rest of the season. I don't think we lose to Jacksonville State if we beat Notre Dame that week. That's just me personally. With that being said, I'm interested to see how we do later on. Our next three games at Louisville versus Boston College versus Wake Forest. We'll see if we can be 4-0, 5-0 heading into those games later on down the stretch. We will see, but let's start these sign-offs. Thank you guys for listening. I want to say this really quickly and then you add on it and wrap up. The FIBA World Cup is amazing. Giannis today went 41-9. The first player to go for that much since Dirk in 2001 when he put up 43. Luka played today. Luka had 36, 10, and 4. Jokic had 29, 11, and 5. I put a Twitter poll up on our Locker to Leave It Twitter. Already has over 500 votes. Last time I checked, it was 72% in favor of Team World beating Team USA. I'm surprised it was that lopsided. But I'm telling you, the future of basketball is international, and it's not only in basketball. Aaron, talk to me about baseball because it looks like the talent happening in every sport is expanding globally like we've never seen it before.
You're right, Jay. It's crazy when you think about really good baseball teams, right? You think the Caribbean, you think the USA, you might even think Asia, you might think South Korea, maybe Taiwan, maybe Japan. Those are traditionally the baseball powers. Let me give one to you here. A baseball team that's going to look really good coming to this World Baseball Classic you would never have thought of. The Netherlands, right? You think Netherlands, you think
Very obscure
soccer,
team. Yeah.
right? They got some baseball dogs right now. The infield, you're going to have probably Xander Bogaerts at third, Andrelton Simmons at short, Jonathan Scope at second, Jurickson Profar at first base. You got Kenley Jansen coming out of the pen. They're a team to look out for. Uh, Also, my personal team, Puerto Rico, for those who know I'm Puerto Rican, Puerto Rico's got a great team as well this year. They're going to have Correa, they're going to have Lindor, Baez, Edwin Diaz, Mr. Trumpet. Marcus Stroman is playing for Puerto Rico this year. He switched countries. He hasn't had enough games with the U.S. to make him locked in, so he switched to Puerto Rico.
He pulled the
Puerto Rico is going to be a great team this year.
pulled the Becky Hammond, didn't he? Becky Hammond
Yep. Yep.
never got that USA bitch. He said, "Screw it, I'm going to Russia." Um,
Exactly. So a lot of fun teams to watch. Check out for Japan. I don't know if Shohei's going to play. If he does, he can single-handedly carry a team in such a small tournament sample size. Also, another good team to always watch is Cuba. As you know, there's some issues with the Cuban government, to say the least. So a lot of guys are not able to leave Cuba as early as they'd like. They have to come over when they're 27, 28, maybe even past their prime in their 30s, like a guy like Jose Abreu. So a lot of young Cuban players that are still on the national team in their early years, this might be the peak. This might be the best you get to watch them at. So be on the lookout for Cuban players in the tournament as well.
All right, so with that being said, another great week of sports coming up. The actual Seattle Storm and the Las Vegas Aces play tonight at 10. The Sky and the Sun are going right now. That game started 6 minutes ago at 8 p.m. I'm telling you guys, we have great guests coming. Not the Seattle Storm, the Las Vegas Aces head assistant coach is coming on our podcast once the season is over. Hopefully, we can get a post championship pod with Coach Nasake. That'd be awesome. But once again, Ak, thank you for coming on. Any last words before we head on out of here?
Yeah, like I said, really excited to see how the season goes. So listen, our next two games are Louisville and BC. Louisville just lost to Syracuse badly, and BC just lost to Rutgers. So there's a good chance we're 4-0 going into a big time ranked showdown with Wake Forest in a few weeks. That could be a really good game to keep an eye on now that Sam Hartman, their star quarterback, has just returned from surgery for getting a blood clot removed. Best wishes to him. Hope he heals up quickly because I want to beat Wake at their best. I want to beat every team at their best. I want to show the Florida State Seminoles are back in the world of college football.
I couldn't have said it any better, guys. We will have a podcast before this weekend talking about the NFL and our bets to place for week one. Week one's always hectic. Your fantasy teams are going, you're starting up, your bets are going, your future bets. You want everything to work out for you. We'll be the guys you should listen to if you want to get the information. Until then, thank you guys for listening again and see you guys next time. Peace.